In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create this beautiful interactive dashboard design all inside of Google Sheets, complete with date filters, navigation, and even all the source data, pivot tables and graphs and settings. This is going to be a good one, so let's dive in. Okay, so one of the first things that we absolutely have to do is we have to change our mindset. We got to start thinking like a designer and less like a spreadsheet person. So one of the first things that any good designer does is go get inspiration for what they want to build. So what we're going to do in this video is we're actually going to use this beautiful, simple dashboard design that I found, and we're going to build something like this in Google Sheets, and we're going to use this as inspiration to create a really nice looking design. So here it is. Let's do it. So one of the first tricks that I want to show you is a lot of times people think that they have to, go like this and, move cell width, surround, and all that kind of stuff, when really that actually makes your life more difficult when you're actually trying to design a spreadsheet. So what we want to do is I'm going to undo that, and we're going to select all our rows here, and we're going to right click resize rows, and we're going to make them 30 pixels wide, just like that. And then we're going to, with all that selected, we're going to say insert 26 columns right. And we're going to do that a couple times there until we have a lot of pixels to work with here. And there we go. All right, so this will give us a lot of flexibility, and you'll see how this works as we go through this. So if we go back to our design here, we got kind of a thin header at the top and a logo off to the left. So let's go ahead and design something like that. And for now, we'll make this the full width. And we'll start like that. And we got that filled in white already. So we don't really got to do anything there. Okay, so we're just going to skip the top 3 lines, and now we got a blue. So one of the cool things that you can do is there's an extension called the eyedropper tool in Google Chrome. So I'm going to grab that tool. I'm going to click on pick a color from the web, and we're going to select this sidebar color. And now we can grab the color code right here, copy it to clipboard, come back to our Google Sheet. And let's see, thinking it's about that wide, but we don't want to go all the way to the top because we want our little header section there. And we'll go down to here for now. And we're going to go to a fill color, and we're going to add a custom one and paste that in and hit OK. All right, so we got that there. And you'll see if I turn off our grid lines, kind of see what we're working with here. And now we need our main background fill color. So we're going to grab our eyedropper tool again. We're going to click that, click pick color from a page, and we're going to select this gray color and copy that color code. Come back over to our dashboard and basically go all the way to the right, all the way down, and change our background color to that gray. There we go. And now if we scroll to the top, you'll see how we have a defined header and background body section. So then at the top, we have some metric cards, and looking at the size here, that looks about the size of 4 of my squares. And we'll kind of stretch out across to see how long we think that looks. But so we got a pretty thin spacing here and a good amount of padding at the top. So let's just kind of stretch this out. And I'm thinking maybe something like that. Yeah, about that wide. And now let's copy this green color with our eyedropper tool and grab that color code. Go to our background color, hit custom, paste it in, boom, there we go. And now we just need to repeat this process 3 more times for the other cards. So let's copy this and let's paste it and do that 2 more times, and there we go. Now let's go back to our design here. Let's grab our purple color and update the background of this card. to that purple color. Let's grab the blue here. And finally, the orange here. And it's starting to come together here. And just looking at this, I feel like the cards need to be a little bit wider. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit. So I'm going to move these over here for a minute. And make this green about 2 wider. And copy our purple back over. Make it 2 wider. And our blue. And finally, our orange. And then just replace that with our gray. And need to replace all these with our gray as well. Just copy and paste that down. And there we go. And I almost think that these could go one more lower as well. And I feel like they need to be about one more wider, so I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll come back on with you guys. And boom, there we go. So I'm going to make our header one taller here, so when we get a nice logo in here, that'll look good. And now let's build the main bodies for our different metrics and graphs that we're going to have. So just trying to think about how I want to do this here. So this one starts on the left side of our first metric and goes a little more than 2/3 of the way through our third one. So let's do something like that. Kind of like that. And definitely feel like that needs to be lower. So move that down to about here and cover those up. Yeah, like that. And then give ourselves a background there. Okay. And I'm going to change our zoom so we can kind of see a bigger area. We'll extend our blue down some. We'll just actually take it to the bottom for now. Okay. And now let's do our bottom section here. So this one's just kind of a 50-50 split. So I'm actually just going to copy this one here so we can keep our heights about the same. And paste that in, skip one, paste it in. Okay, so now what I want to do is bring in a logo here. So I'll actually show you guys real quick. If I open up Canva what I can do here is I can create a nice little logo. So let's just go to elements, and this is one I really like here. So I'm just going to take this, do something like that, and add a heading text here. And let's do marketing. And I'm going to use the font Enter. We're going to make this a lot bigger here. Something like this. And then I'm going to duplicate that, type performance, and I'm going to change the size of this font way down to start with 50. And if I go to the text letter spacing and expand that out, and maybe just a little bit more. I actually think I'm going to make the font size even smaller, so I'm going to try 40 here. Maybe something like that. And grab those. Okay. And then what I want to try here is grabbing our blue color here again. Let's copy that. Go back into Canva, and let's change the color of this icon here. Something like that. And I'm going to export this as a transparent background PNG file and download that. And I'll probably resize it to about 300, 400 wide pixels. And once I have that ready, we'll upload it into our Google Sheet. Okay, so now with our logo file ready, it is time to bring it in. So we're going to go to Insert Image, Insert Overcells, and we're going to browse, find it on our computer, grab it there, open it up. And bring it over here where we want it. We're going to bring the size of that down some. Bring it over here. Make it a little bit smaller there to line up with our sidebar, and maybe just a touch more. And boom, there we go. And just to get an idea of what this thing looks like in total, let's do file print, and let's do selected cells, and looking really, really good here. So let's cancel that. And next, I think what we'll do is we'll start designing out some of these headers for the body of the sections. So let's come here. I want to try something here. Not 100% certain on this yet, but let's insert a row here. And then let's resize this row. Let's bring it down to, let's try 6 pixels. And let's select that all the way across here. And let's select, let's try a gray color here. And I think that needs to be a little bit lower. So I'm going to undo that, and let's resize this one. Let's go to 5. There we go. And let's make that gray. And just want to see. Yeah, that goes all the way to the end. So we'll make ours go all the way to the end. And not bad. Let's try 3. Yeah, I think that's better for sure. And let's try making this try our background color. Yeah, definitely looks better like that. And now let's add some text here. And let's just call this marketing overview. Let's bold that. Let's bring up our font size just a little bit here. And I'm going to try merging these cells just to see what it looks like. And let's bring that font size up just a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now let's copy our line here. And let's come over here. Let's paste that in. We need a little bit more. Copy that. There we go. And let's copy this. Let's paste that in. And we'll just put in lead sources here. And let's try changing this to center. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to vertically align that center, and it kind of centers it on the header there. So I like that. And they got this cool little icon here. So let's see if we can replicate something like that in Canva for our dashboard. So let's just add a page here, and let's do chart line icon. And let's go over to graphics. Just kind of look around here. I almost wonder if something like this would look cool. Let's actually try making it the gray color from our app. So let's grab our eyedropper tool. Let's select our background. And let's select that color. Come back into Canva. And let's add a color. Let's make it that gray color. And let's download this as a transparent PNG. And just the current page. And we'll bring that into our app. All right, so now let's go to the area we want to import that. Let's go insert image overcells. Let's upload this. And let's bring it up here. I don't hate it. I don't necessarily love it. I feel like we need a little bit darker of an icon, maybe a different design. I do really like that thing though, so let's keep it over here on our sidebar. This is a cool little design to give our dashboard some character, but let's find a better icon for this here. And I actually really like that on the sidebar. So let's add another page. Let's go to elements and do square graph icon. I'm going to say line icon and go to graphics. Something like that might be all right. It's just kind of generic. Let's try this one. And let's just try a little bit darker gray color this time. And let's download that. And let's bring that in. Let's go insert image over cells, browse to it. And let's bring that up here. Let's change the size down and put that right about so. There we go. And let's actually try changing our font here. And let's grab our enter font and just see what that looks like. Let's try Roboto. I think I like that a little bit better. Okay. And I'm actually just going to change the font of everything here to that, so we don't got to do that again. And now we should just be able to repeat our headings and our dividers down to our bottom boards. So just go down 2, paste that in, down 2, and paste that in. And we'll change that one to that. We'll do something like that. And something like that. Obviously, these could be any metrics that you want. We'll just use those for now. We'll copy our line here. And we need to insert a row here and resize that to 3. And let's paste this across. Well, something like that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now let's start building the design for our cards. So let's just type in some numbers here, get a starting point. And we're going to bold these up. We're going to make them white. We're going to go ahead and format these as currency and get rid of the decimal points and see how we want to merge these cells here. I don't want to go crazy big because I want to leave room for some of the other stuff here. Let's try something like that. Let's go format, merge all. We'll align it top and left. And let's start blowing this font up here. And let's add back the zeros. I kind of like the way that looks in this design with the zeros. I don't love this font on the numbers. Try a few here and just see what they look like. And I think we'll just roll with Roboto here. And this looks a little big to me. Let's do something like that. Bring it down to about 10. And let's call this total sales. Let's make it bold. Let's make it white. just going to add a few spaces, see what it looks like, and maybe change the font size up 1. Like that. Let's try it down here just to see what it looks like. No, too far. Yeah, so let's go with that. And obviously later we would come back and change all these hand input numbers with actual formulas pulling from a data tab. But we'll save that for an entirely different day. But I'm going to go ahead and merge these cells. And I'm going to align this at the top. And there we go. And for this, I'm just 1 over and 1 down. So I'm just going to copy that. So I'm just going to come over to the next card, 1 over and 1 down. I'm going to paste that in there and change the background color and do that a couple more times here. 1 over, 1 down, paste it in, change the background color, and one more time. 1 over, 1 down, paste it in, change the background color. And we'll change this to something like, we'll do total leads, and we'll do 1,114, and this will just be a number, no decimals. We'll change this one to, we'll do appointments set. And we'll do 487. Format that as a number, get rid of the decimals. And then let's change this one to lead cost. And let's go 4,856.02. And there we go. So now we got our card design all laid out. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is create some icons for our cards here at the top. So let's go back into Canva and let's pull this up. Let's add a page here. And what I want to do is I want to grab this green color so we can get a good look at what this is actually going to look like. Let's copy that, go to Canva, do this, and let's go to elements and let's add a square. And let's cover the whole area with that. And let's change that color there to our green. And now let's search for a money icon since we're doing sales. Just find one we like here. I'm going to try $ icon. See if we get anything different. And I think I'm actually going to use this one here. And I'm going to make it white. And now what I want to do is change the transparency. I'm going to bring it down, maybe something like that. And let's click this button here to duplicate this. And then let's delete the green background so we can save it as a transparent image. So let's download that transparent background and current page and done. And we'll import that into our sheet. So we will go to insert image, image over cells, browse, and grab our $, and move it up here. And just kind of resize that a little bit. And I don't mind that. I almost wish it was a little whiter. Let me see what it looked like with just a little more opacity. So we're at about 50 now. Let's go 75 and see what it looks like. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like that better. Let's get rid of this one. Bring this one up. Yeah, there we go. I like that for sure. So now let's find an icon for our leads card. Actually, before we do that, let's just make this a little bit smaller. Maybe something like that. And while I'm looking at it, I actually want to make the logo just a little smaller too. Maybe a little bigger than that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So let's do, since we're talking about leads, let's do like a people icon maybe. And I don't know what this one look like, but let's give it a try. Go white and transparency. Let's go 75. Boom. Then let's duplicate this and delete our background. Then let's share this, download transparent background, current page, and boom, there we go. Insert image over cells, browse, grab that. And let's bring it up. Something like that. Move it up just a touch. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So let's do our appointments set. I'm thinking a calendar icon for this one. See what this one looks like. Let's bring it up here. Paste that. Let's make it white. Change that transparency to 75. Clone this. Get rid of the green. Share. Download. Transparent background. Current page. Done. And guys, I know this is a lot of work, but this is how you make your dashboards look really good. And the cool thing is, once you got it set up, you don't have to change it, right? So it's a lot of work the first time, but then you got it. And guys, if you actually want to skip all the work and just download a copy of mine, I'll leave a link where you can get it down in the description. Okay, so let's bring this up here, get it resized how we need it. And I almost feel like all these need to go down in size just a little bit. I think they'll look a little bit better. Yeah, I like that. Maybe move them to the left just a touch. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And for the cost, let's maybe do like a coins icon, maybe. Not really loving any of these. Let's try dollar icon. Let's try this one. Paste it on here. Change it to white. And change that transparency down to 75. Duplicate it. Get rid of our green. Share. download, transparent background, current page, done, download. Insert, image, over cells, browse. Let's grab it. And let's resize this. There we go. And now that's looking really, really good. So now let's start bringing a little data in here to get some graphs going. And let's rename this sheet. Let's call it dashboard. Let's add a tab here and rename this and call it data. And I have some data, some sample data from another dashboard I did that I'm going to grab here. It has marketing data like dates, customer name, lead costs, whether they had an appointment, sales revenue, the lead source, then how many leads, appointments, and sales. So let's copy all that and paste here in our data tab. And let's undo that. Let's make this customer name field a little wider. Make this lead source a little wider. Okay, so now with some data in here, let's start building some graphs. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to select all of our data here. And let's insert a pivot table first. And we'll do that on a new sheet and we'll just click create. And we want to add a row and let's add our date field. And then under values, we want to get our leads and appointment count. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want to build a stacked or area graph like this. So let's come back to our sheet here. And now if I just click on one of the date fields and create a date pivot and go to month here, it's going to just sum those up by the month. And I'm just going to center these to look a little bit nicer. And we'll call this leads. We'll call this appointments. And we'll center both of those just to make it look nice and clean. And now we're ready to build our graph. So let's select that without the totals and let's go insert chart. And we are going to choose this area chart right here. And it's going to start out looking pretty ugly, but we're going to make this thing look nice. So first thing, let's click on chart style and let's make this smooth like that. And I actually we'll leave the border on for now, but we'll probably remove it once we bring it to our dashboard. So now let's go back to this design here. And let's use our eyedropper tool and let's try to get this blue color. And let's copy that. And we'll make our top one here like that. So let's actually put that in there. There we go. And now let's make the bottom one our green color. So let's change that there to this green. And we're starting to look pretty good here. Now what I want to do is let's change some of this text color not to be so harsh. Maybe a little bit darker than that. And we're just changing this text color right here. And let's change the font. Let's use Roberto. And now let's do the same thing for our horizontal axis. So there and go Roboto. Okay. And now let's click on chart and access titles and let's get rid of this title here. And this is going to be a lot longer. So let's stretch this out. And Let's go to the legend and let's change that text color. And let's click on this grid line and ticks. Under the major grid lines, let's try this gray color, maybe a little lighter than that, and just making that line a little lighter. Yeah, like that. And now let's click on series and let's change this point size. Let's make it 3. Let's do that for the other one as well. So now I just want to copy this chart, go to our dashboard and paste it in, bring it over, and let's make it a little bit bigger here, a little bit wider. See what that looks like. Let's get rid of that outline now. So no border color. Bring it down a little bit. And now we got a nice looking graph in there, guys. So we're looking pretty good. Now let's create a nice little donut chart. So for this, let's go to our data here. Let's do another pivot table. Let's go insert pivot table. Let's say existing sheet, and we're going to put this in this same sheet here as the other pivot table. And let's do create. And for our rows on this one, we want our lead source. And then for our values, we want the number of leads. And then from that, now we can insert a chart for the type. Let's do a donut chart. And we're really going to have to customize these colors up. So let's use some of our colors that we had earlier. The blue is a little too close, I think. So maybe try purple, using the purple again. Yeah, I'm good with that. And let's get rid of the chart title under chart and access titles. And then legend, let's try bottom. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. And then let's copy this. Back to our dashboard. Let's paste it in. Squeeze it in there. And now with it in here, let's get rid of that border. So let's make that none. And let's bring this up a little bit. There we go. I like that. All right, now let's go ahead and create this sales by lead source chart. So let's go to our data and let's go to the top here. Let's insert another pivot table here. We'll go on an existing sheet and we'll use that pivot table 2 sheet. Just add us another spot here. And let's click create. And now we need our lead source there, and let's sum up our sales dollars. And let's just format those as a number. And now let's select that. Let's go to insert chart. This time, let's use a bar chart. See what this one looks like. Let's customize this a little bit. So let's get rid of the title. And let's go to horizontal axis and let's change this font color. Let's go a little bit darker. And let's do the same thing on vertical. And let's change the font here on the legend to Roboto. Let's change the font on these as well, on the axes. And let's change the horizontal axis title to Roboto, and let's do the same for the vertical. And this one, let's just get rid of the sum of, just call it sales revenue and lead source. For the fill color, let's try our blue from earlier. And let's copy this over to our dashboard and see what it looks like. Kind of spread this out. And let's get rid of that border. I feel like we need to make this a little smaller, give it room to breathe. Let's change this line color. Let's go to the grid lines and ticks, and let's change this grid line color. Just make it a little lighter. Yeah, there we go. So this thing's come together nice. And just a thought that I had was, because this one's probably going to be a similar type chart. Now we could change up how this one looks, but let's try something real quick. Let's take this one and do chart style. Let's actually try a vertical bar chart like this. And let's go back to our pivot table. The sum of sales revenue and make that descending. There we go. And now you'll see that it sorts our chart that way. And let's go back to our pivot table here. And let's just call this sales revenue and the dollar sign here. Let's change the chart title here. Let's get rid of that. And under the horizontal axis title, let's just change this to sales revenue. Boom, there we go. Now what we'll do is we'll do one more pivot table here. We'll select all our data. And let's go insert pivot table, existing sheet. We'll put it on the same sheet. And let's create that. For row, we need date. And for values, we need our sales revenue. Then we're going to right click on one of these dates, create pivot group, and make that month. And let's just format these up a little bit. And center those up. And let's call this sales revenue. Like that. And let's select our data here and go insert chart. For this, we want to do a bar chart here. And let's give this thing some room to breathe. For this one, let's customize this. Let's get rid of that title. On the horizontal, let's change our font to Roboto. Same thing on our vertical. Let's change our grid lines and just make those a little bit lighter. And let's go to series and then let's go to data labels. Okay. Let's change the color here. So let's change this sales revenue here and change the fill color. Let's try this green right here and see what it looks like. It might be too much, but we'll see. And let's paste this in. Maybe something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's looking good. And now what I'll do is I'm going to rename this pivot table 2 page to, I'll call it pivots. And then what we can do is come up here to our total sales. Now what I want to do is I want to add a page here. We'll call this page settings. And I'm going to go to one of my previous sheets here. And I'm going to grab this date box here. Let's bring this in. And what this will allow us to do is create some date filters. So let's go format and let's merge those there. Let's do insert drop down and drop down from a range. And let's go to our settings page. This right here will be our range. We'll hit done here. And we'll go ahead and select our range here and hit OK. And let's go to advanced options and let's change this from a chip to an arrow and hit done there. And then I'll just choose this year. We'll do bold. We'll make the font white. And let's try merging this. And then let's vertically align that. And let's make the font just a little bit bigger. Maybe something like that. There we go. And then let's do start date and end date. Make those bold, make those white. And we'll go format, merge, merge all. And then I'm going to copy and paste that. This will just be equals VLOOKUP. We'll select our period here. And then go to our settings, grab the period and the start date and do (2) to grab our start date and (false). We'll do the same thing here for our end date. So equals VLOOKUP, select our date selector, then come over to settings, do that, (3), (false). Okay, let's bold those up and make them white. Let's try making these too wide. I don't know if I'll like it or not, but we'll try it. So we'll merge vertically here. Okay. So now if I go to this month, it'll change to that. If I go last week, it'll change to last week. And now we got a nice little date filter here. So then what we want to do is we want to make these cards at the top dynamic based on our date selector. So let's do equals sum ifs. We go to our data and we want to sum sales revenue. And the criteria for that is going to be based on the date. And then we want to do greater than or equal to this start date here. And our date. So we'll select our date again. Has to be this time less than or equal to our end date. Now, if I change this to, let's say, this month, you'll see it's going to dynamically change that based on the dates. So now we just need to repeat this process for the other card. So I'm going to copy that formula, come into this field, we're going to paste it in, and now all we got to do is change what field we are summing up. So our leads data is in column G. So we just need to change where it's summing revenue to summing leads. And our appointments are in column H. So we'll do that again. Make this column H. And one more time we'll do that. And we need column C for our lead cost. And there we go. Now, one other thing we could do here is we could merge these, and let's type in navigation. Let's bold that. Let's make it white, and let's bring that text size up. Then let's type data, pivot, and settings here. We'll make those white. And let's actually maybe bring those down. And we can merge those horizontally. So format, merge horizontally. And now what we can do, I'm going to change that back to white. Now we'll link up pivots. And let's link up settings. And now what you'll see is when we click on these, we can actually go to that tab. And it makes a nice little navigation system for your users that are a little bit less spreadsheet oriented. And guys, if you want to get this exact spreadsheet so you don't have to go through all the work that we've done in this video to set this up and make it look beautiful, then remember that you can grab a copy of it down in the description. And guys, I'm putting out videos like this all the time, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel and give it a like if you got help from this video.